Don Juan, 1823. 'Tis strange but true, for truth is always strange, stranger than fiction, if it could be told. How much would novels gain by the exchange? How differently the world would men behold? How oft would vice and virtue places change? The new world would be nothing to the old, if some Columbus of the moral seas would show mankind their soul's antipodes. Hello, and welcome to My Daily Walk, the show where a Hollywood guy, that's me, walks around and talks about anything and everything, except the things I'm contractually bound to conceal. So, Lord Byron, I believe, that poem. Let's see, it's in here somewhere. Yes, Lord Byron, satirical poem. I would expound upon that, but I think the poetry, if you break it down and analyze it, in a sense, you're destroying it. A poem is a poem because there's no other way to express those feelings of truth. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still analyze them. But I'm not going to analyze this one. I love that poem. And it is Freeform Friday. And that poem was emailed to me in response to one of the episodes. Hooray! Now that's what I'm talking about. I'm getting some emails now. Full disclosure, from my mom. This is the beginning of this process, and so Mom is listening. And that particular poem was in response to the episode about, I think it's titled Production Assistant. The Production Assistant? Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, I think. I don't go back and listen to all these. I do know I've talked about that, truth being stranger than fiction, and I guess Mom, I guess you remembered that poem, or were you Google searching and found it? I don't know. Where did that expression come from? That's what she's claiming. She's saying that the expression, the truth is stranger than fiction, originated within that poem from Lord Byron. So I like that. Little piece of knowledge that I have now gained because of this interaction, because of this podcast. So I do have a bunch of other emails to get to, but let's start off with welcome. And if you want to get in on it and have your opinion, your point of view, your praise or your criticism read into an episode and documented for all eternity and perpetuity, email me at MyDailyWalk at thiswaytv.com. MyDailyWalk at thiswaytv.com. Now, I do like Freeform Friday because even though there's very, very little show prep that goes into any of this podcast, any episode, that is especially true of Freeform Fridays. The topics that I come up with are planned, so there is planning, as you know if you are a listener. I have a list that's increasing, a list that's getting longer faster than I can record these. I have more topics to talk about than it's like I'm not catching up to the list. The list is getting longer. I don't know, maybe don't take that as gospel. The list I add, sometimes I'll add 3 things to the list in one day. Sometimes I'll go days without adding anything to the list. So the list isn't necessarily outpacing the production of episodes. But where was I going with that? Oh, I like that Fridays, I can just turn this on and not have to meditate upon a particular topic. I can just tell you what's going on, or I can read emails. So there, I read an email, and I have several more that I'm going to read, but maybe I should start with what happened last night. Not a big deal, but it was a nice moment, and this will be a time for disclosure of a few things. Obviously, Mom knows a lot about what's going on, what I'm working on. She knows a lot more than most people, but if you are a listener, if you're an audience member, you know some things. If you've listened to everything up to this point, let's just put it that way. If you've listened to every one of my shows up to this point, you may retain bits and pieces when I refer to what I'm working on. So let's just kind of summarize what I think I've disclosed. I can't remember everything that I've disclosed, but maybe I'll disclose more by listing what I think I've disclosed and disclosing something I haven't. Anyway, I am kind of midpoint writing a script. I am the point person for this project, this story that I'm working on. It's a historical character, and I am over the last 2 years I have been doing research, because I have a contract, an agreement with the owner of the property. It's a property owner. An intellectual property is just as valuable as an actual physical piece of property. In some cases, if you have intellectual property that you know how to suss out the value, I guess, suss out the value of this intellectual property, it could become very valuable. Anyway, somebody owns this intellectual property. I have the rights to suss out the value of it, or to exploit it, whatever words you want to use. But my agreement with the actual owner of the property is to be as accurate as possible. That word truth gets tossed around. Just tell the truth was my first communique with this person. This person is tired of people coming to them to try and get their sign-off or their approval or the rights from them. Other people have come to this person over the years, and this person's like, no. People aren't telling the story correctly, or don't want to tell the story correctly. They have, I don't know, people have their own ideas about how to tell someone else's story, which is inevitable, I suppose. We all think very highly of ourselves. We have this in-group bias that is a group of one. I am right. That's the in-group bias. I am right. But we all are wrong also about any number of things. Going on a tangent, but so this person who owns the property has given me the rights for quite a longer period of time than is actually commonplace in Hollywood. I have the rights for a decade, basically, more or less. And gosh, I'm going on this long tangent. What was I going to say? So I'm in kind of midpoint. I've done the vast majority of the research I need in order to tell this story as close to the truth as possible. And part of that is translations of some materials. It's a historical event that happened in another country, and so they're corroborating sources, all the sources that I need, since I don't speak multiple languages. I only speak a couple, and the languages that the source material is in are not either of those languages that I speak. I'm dependent upon translators to get me content at a certain pace, at a certain rate. So I am moving at the only pace I can move at. It's like I'd like things to be moving faster, but they can't because I'm dependent upon. I'm not blaming anyone else. There's plenty more that I could be doing right now, but there's only so many hours in a day, including this half hour that I'm committed to. And I'm happy about how things are going. So that's my state of being right now, my frame of mind. And there are a lot of people that know what I'm working on, people who've signed non-disclosure agreements that are kind of just chomping at the bit, waiting with bated breath. No, there's people that know what I'm working on. They're like, man, I wonder when he's going to get that first draft of the script done, because essentially what that means is I will be telling a story in English that's never been told in English. I mean, there are versions of it that have been told in English, but nobody has ever told the full story or the historical character's point of view of the story. Everybody has a point of view. History is written by the winners, is the expression. History is written by the winners. Well, this guy was on the winning side, and his story was never written. He ended up ultimately on the winning side, but losing so much. But his story's never been told from his point of view. And so, said all that to say, some of the people that know about this project are people that are extremely influential in Hollywood. A couple of them, and that are personal friends, and one in particular, a personal friend. I don't see him very often because he has a family that deserves as much of his time as he can give to them, but he's also, flying around the world shooting movies at different points in the year. Every year, he has a movie that just came out, another movie that's about to come out, and a movie that's this other huge movie that he just finished shooting that will come out in a year. I don't know. So this guy, it's just, you can't plan to become friends with someone like that. Like, you can't walk down the street and say, I'm going to devise a scheme to get into Steven Spielberg's inner circle and become one of his confidants, a buddy that, every time he sees me, he'll wave and say, "Oh, how are you doing? How are the kids?" Right? You can't plan to get into an inner circle of, it's just, you can plan it, but you're just not going to execute it. It just doesn't happen. If you land in the right place at the right time, somehow it could happen. And that's the sense. That's the sense that I have. The feeling that I have. This guy is, he knows what I'm working on. I mean, I've known him long before I started this project, and we are buddies. He's like one of my closest friends, and I can't believe it. But so last night there was a social event, and he was hosting, and we were invited, and we got there. It was an ongoing event, kind of all day event, not all day, but several hour event, and into the evening. And we showed up. My wife is friends with his wife, so it's one of those. We showed up and we closed down the event. I mean, we ended up at the end of the night, just the four of us sitting, he and I sitting next to each other, and the two of them sitting next to each other, and just getting caught up on life. My wife and his wife see each other all the time and talk all the time, but because of the nature of his business, I try not to bother him because he's super busy, but I could tell he was grateful to have some time just to get caught up on what I'm doing, and vice versa what he's doing, and that's what it was. It was just a wonderful little oasis last night in the middle of the chaos of life that doesn't stop. And so it's a genuine moment that happened last night that I'm grateful for, because it gives me kind of peace of mind. In my mind, and here I'm being fully transparent, honest, vulnerable, full disclosure. In my mind, he's the only one I would ever want to make this film. There's a lot of big name producers, filmmakers, directors in Hollywood, and he's a producer. He does the big ones, and the fact that he's interested, he's expressed interest. Every day he has to decide which movies he's going to put energy into. I mean, that's what he was talking about last night. Part of his responsibility is wrapping up this one film, in post-production on this other one, starting post-production on this other one, and then the other part of his responsibility is looking at all this slate of other possible intellectual properties that they could turn into a film or a Netflix series or whatever. It's like, he said, yeah, I'm trying to get these 2 movies done at Netflix and this and this. That's just our conversation. That's what he's doing. He's got a full slate of lots of, he's a successful guy doing the most fun job I could imagine. And I mean, it's not a matter of envy or coveting. I mean, I don't want to do what he does. I do want to do actually I do. There's the project I'm working on, I'm in that driver's seat, kind of like he is on these other films. Gosh, I'm just rambling now. All right. Just wanted to meditate on yesterday. Freeform Friday, I get to. It's my prerogative. But now back to the emails. So I will just read them and do a little commentary. There's a couple of them, so let me navigate to. All right. So truth is stranger than fiction. That was that one. Here is. Let's kind of go back. There's a few. Okay, Mom's thoughts. This is like one of the very first email she sent. I'm not going to read it all. She's just asking some basic questions. All right, here we go. Mom says, in an email titled Mom's Thoughts, just got through listening to Ideate. The name of the episode is To Ideate, which was interesting to me. Oh, good. I could go off on a tangent when it comes to where do ideas come from, but won't. Also could expound tirelessly about truth. Just as a personal note of interest to you, I have a, quote, brain phenomena I've had all my life that I've rarely shared with anyone, but it is scientifically identified. And the name of the phenomena escapes me at the moment. But here's what it is. When I either think or speak the days of the week and the months of the year, I see each one in a specific color in my mind. For example, Sunday is robin egg blue, Monday is yellow, Tuesday is orange, Wednesday is black, Thursday is gray, Friday is black, and Saturday is white. Let me pause here for a moment. So, I just read the names of the days of the week and a color associated with each one, and Mom, you just saw those colors as you heard me say those words. That's inarguable. I'm getting this from the source. It's not, some people this, some people that. This is the source telling me. All right. For the years, or she meant the months, but January is brown. February is dark brown. March is yellow. April is gold. May is black. June is sky blue. July is robin egg blue. August is silver. September is blue. October is orange. November is gray. And December is black. So whenever anyone speaks a day of the week or month of the year, I see in my mind the color I've just described. Some people claim they do it with numbers. I found a piece of paper that my sister had written on when she was 8 or 9. That's my sister, her daughter, sorry. 8 or 9 years old, she had written, "The number 9 is green." I can't remember if I asked her what she meant. Okay, end of tangent, just wanted to share some thoughts. Love, Mom. Oh, whoa. All right, here she goes. She responds the next day. Just wanted to follow up on my tangent. Oh, the name of this email is Synesthesia. Synesthesia. Just wanted to follow up on my tangent. I'm what scientists refer to as a synesthete, a person who experiences cross-interpretation of the senses in the neurons in the brain itself. Some synesthetes, for example, experience taste when looking at certain shapes, or when reading black print, certain letters appear in a color, or some people, when hearing certain sounds, i.e. a car horn honking, experience a taste. Synesthesia is described as being rare, and most people who have it say they never knew they had it, just thought everyone was like that. Which is true of me. I only realized it about 10 years ago and went to Google to see what came up, if anything. I asked myself, why only the days of the week and months of the year appear in color? Question mark, 6 question marks. Of all the words in the English language, why the specific regimented days of the week and months of the year? The research I did stressed the importance of this being a phenomena at neural synapse level in brain function and not a mental illness. They also stated in their research that it is present in people who are highly intelligent. Yep, that would be me. Double grin emoji. Love, Mom. I love my mom. Yep, that would be me. All right, let's move on to the next email. I just want to go off, but I want to get these read, and maybe I'll have time. There's 2 more. Yeah, all right. All right, this email is in response to the Happy Accidents episode, and the beginning of this email I've already addressed in another episode, where the I am wrong episode, where I stated a blatant falsehood at the top of my episode, at the top of the show, and my fact checker, my first fact checker, Mom, is the one who pointed out to me that I had no idea what I was talking about. So I went over that in that episode, the self-correcting nature of this podcast, of this show. But the next section, since this is in response to Happy Accidents, the episode, she responded more to some of the other things I talked about, and so the last part of her email reads like this. I too have never believed in coincidence. We all are born with the freedom to choose for a lifetime. What we do not have is a guarantee of the outcome of our choices. In his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. Proverbs 16:9. We are also subject to unintended consequences. Love, Mom. All right. Gosh. And no, this is the last one that I will read. Ooh. All right. This is in response to the episode titled Good Citizen. Boy, I get lots of food for thought here. Good Citizen. What is disappointing to me across our culture today is the growing and widening inability of people to be able to carry on an honest exchange of differences of opinion without it evolving into some kind of screaming match or actual physical confrontation. That is one sentence. It should be read again. What is disappointing to me across our culture today is the growing and widening inability of people to be able to carry on an honest exchange of differences of opinion without it evolving, and I would say devolving, into some kind of screaming match or actual physical confrontation. To me, it is a sad indication and serious symptom of the decay of civilization. We are at the place where we now have laws being written where if you utter a certain word in the English language, you can be prosecuted, fined, and imprisoned. The weaponization of words. Be very careful where, when, and in what setting you utter the word truth. That's in all caps. For me, I have no problem with truth. God is the author of it. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. That settles it for me. There is a difference between discovering something to be true and truth. That's the capital T, I would say, but she put it in all caps. To be true and truth in and of itself. I mean, there is a difference between discovering something to be true and truth in and of itself. To me, truth is a character quality of God. It is absolute, unerring, and dependable. I heard someone say, well, there are many versions of the truth. Huh? Okay, how many are there? Which version is more true as compared to all the other versions? Not to mention the context in which such a statement is made. To say my truth is such and such is an endeavor in futility. What a person needs to say is, it is true I have blue eyes, I'm 6 feet tall and weigh 200 pounds, have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 ears, and 1 nose. LOL. As fallen beings, the closest we will ever get to the truth in our lifetimes is the facts and evidence that exists to prove something to be true. As fallen beings, our greatest and most important challenge of all is to come face to face with truth, all caps. Divine truth, all caps. Well, I guess you see where I get it. If you are a listener, if you've listened to this point, and I guess it's kind of poignant to say, to bring it full circle and say one of the first emails I was reading was in response to Ideate, or the episode called To Ideate. Where do ideas come from? And so we are conduits. We are, I would say, truth detectors. It's just the nature. It's how we're designed. Truth detectors, BS detectors. It's just every moment of every day we are discerning, discriminating, judging what is true, what is false, what is good, what is evil. Light and darkness. And so these thoughts, I sometimes my mom will say things that I disagree with, and I will counter back, and I didn't really come across anything in these emails that I would challenge. I'm reading them. They are her thoughts, but I am an echo chamber, right? Where did those ideas come from? Well, genetically, I guess I have certain capacities that my DNA afforded to me, and so I got those capacities from my mother and my father. But does she take credit for that? She takes a certain amount of pride in that, I'm sure, but she didn't give them to me, though we use that terminology. It was a random flip of the coin, which of the many, many other attributes she could have passed on to me. So she didn't control which thing she passed on me. So, how do we take credit? Where do ideas come from? Did they come from her? I was raised in an environment. I moved around a lot, bounced around a lot, was influenced by her heavily in some instances, and influenced by any number of other things and people. Yet, we do have a lot of agreement. And so, it seems more like there's a common source of the ideas rather than us being responsible for them. Having an ability to communicate them is a whole nother challenge. Understanding and knowing is one thing. Communicating to others what you understand and know is an entirely different thing. And that's one of my exercises here. It's what I'm testing out, giving a shot. How can I communicate what's going on inside here to others. So, this was a fun Freeform Friday. See you next time.